Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is the home improvement solar episode, and with myself, I have Matt Mirasone, who is actually one of our SDRs, and we require everybody at the company to know some level of PPC and CRO together, and so I wanted to take you through some of the things that we already talked about. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So we have 3 examples we're going to go through, and we're going to show the ad, the landing page, and then also the usability hub feedback that we got from 10 people per landing page. And what we really care about here is not necessarily to critique and come with our own opinion. That doesn't really matter much. It's more based on our experience, the data that we have. And hopefully, if you are running any type of solar advertising, you can take this and use to your advantage. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually Solar Optimum that you see up here. One of the things that we talk a lot about is single keyword ad groups, right?
Yes.
It's like the foundational setup for Google search campaigns. And we see here that the actual search is solar panel installation. But Solar Optimum decides to say that they're LA's #1 solar company instead. Now, would you believe that they're #1?
No, I feel like that's kind of a copywriting hack.
Right? It happens a lot. Instead, like what we would recommend too is maybe just actually use the search term in your ad. And so when you do that, you have a closer 1-to-1 ratio, which usually leads to a higher CTR and therefore a higher quality score and ultimately a lower cost per click, which helps, lower the cost per lead. If you then click on this ad and go to the actual landing page, we're met with this. Like, what's your first impression when you see this?
It's really in your face.
And by the way, this was last week. When we refreshed this counter did not change. It's still 24 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of talks a little bit about the scamminess of it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were we going to say?
So it's really in your face, really aggressive.
Yeah.
This is kind of salesy. You can get away with these countdown timers, I think, in some situations, but just front and center there is kind of aggressive.
Right.
Plus, when I checked out this landing page and I clicked here,
yeah,
literally took you right to FaceTime. If
because you're on a Mac, right?
If that was me, I clicked it, I was like, ugh, I don't want to get this.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
Could you imagine FaceTiming somebody on the other end there? That's not the intention, right? Because they're get this offer now, click or call now, and they're trying to get you to call through your computer. And if you're on a Mac, it does the FaceTime. Your webcam is literally that's super, just calls in general are pretty tough in case the person doesn't want to.
Yeah. So
trying to use a landing page to make that happen, not usually going to happen.
Yeah.
100%. The other thing too I noticed is down here in the corner we have chat with the solar consultant. That's obviously not what the solar consultant looks like. I would imagine, right? This is a stock photo. So already lacking that and not showing any human side to this is pretty tough. Actually allowing the form, they'd probably have better success if that click on a desktop dropped them down to the form would probably be better. Yeah. But the biggest thing, even if they did that, they're not using something that we call the Breadcrumb Technique, which is basically where you can ask these pre-qualifying questions that are not contact info related, right? Because people, if you think about this and you're a visitor looking for, a solar panel quote or solar panel installation, you're going to go and potentially get quotes from a lot of places, just kind of like a car dealership. Not saying it's the same buying process, but you want to get the best deal. And you also want to work with a company that's most reputable, has the best quality hardware as well too. Sure. But you don't know where to start. And so when it's a first impression, do not go straight for the jugular and try to close a deal right over there. I don't think it's going to work that way. So instead, get that breadcrumb technique working where you ask them does your house get a lot of shade? Does it get a lot of sun? What's the area code maybe? All the questions you normally would ask if you were to get a call to qualify the person, ask that on the first step. Yeah. Because you've seen what happens too. People actually get, their foot in the door. They're more likely to finish the second step, was where you can ask for the contact information. And so I think they're leaving a lot on the table, keeping to continue using a landing page like this too.
Yeah, more micro commitments I think would be important.
For sure. Now, if you look at the actual feedback that is taken from people that are not us, the first person says, I don't usually respond to pressure tactics. And that countdown timer is what you mentioned too, right? People don't like the red font. They don't like the actual tone of the content. It feels like a sales pitch.
The copy was really in your face,
right.
Aggressive.
Right. And so if you know the type of traffic you're actually driving, which again is not branded, if this was a branded search and it was literally somebody typing in Solar Optimum, you could probably get away with that because there's that prerequisite of a person already knowing who you are from some other type of advertisement or a referral or a reference, who knows. and now they're ready to talk to somebody, right?
Yeah.
But still, like that whole drop down saying that you have limited quantity, like that people are smart, and people who want to do solar panels are usually, I would say, on the smarter side too sometimes.
That's not an impulse buy by any means.
No, definitely not. There's a lot of research going on. So keep that in mind. Cool. The second company we're going to look at is actually going to be Peterson Dean. The actual search term that we had here was solar panel quote, and not as bad as the first example, but almost in a different way, just as bad, is that they're using their own little registered trademark as if they're like trying to brand the search here. And so they might get by with, having a high enough bid, but there's a good chance they're overpaying because Solar for America solar panels is not what I typed in. So I think they're leaving a lot, again, of CTR on the table, which is going to be really, really important to take care of. And again, single keyword accuracy can help with that. Now, one thing I'll show you guys too is at the end of this video, we talk about shopping campaigns and how you can use that to actually improve and use a different type of ad inventory to get potentially a lot cheaper clicks than if you're doing it on search. And there's a way to do that. So this is the Peterson Dean landing page we see. Straight off the bat, fast and free estimate. Everybody knows they can get that. But again, knowing that you have to talk to an actual salesperson can be kind of scary.
Yeah, put that stuff up, move it up.
Zip.
Maybe even create a whole full step.
Right. So project type, great point. So this project type, which is kind of funny because you'll notice that it's in the URL, it says solar, but they have like re-roof, roof repair, solar, roof and solar energy storage. So like,
yeah, they don't position themselves as specialists, really.
Well, and they might do these other things, but if you already know what the person is here for, don't ask them again. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Now, but you could, in a smart way, if this is all you had to ask, put that as a first step, and then say on the second step, cool, we're putting your quote together. Where can we send it? And then first name, last name, email, and everything else, right? That would make sense. But what we're then seeing is that they would do a lot better asking questions that are like about the project. Like, is it a single story? Is it a 2-story house? Those kind of things that a person would believe that they're actually going to get a quote.
I'm getting a custom tailored solution.
Right, exactly. And so they're not taking advantage of that. Same thing with this chat down in the corner too. How can I help you today? You're going to be doing a lot better just asking a question about the actual thing that the visitor cares about, and ask a question that's easy and quick to answer so you can start that conversation.
Yeah.
Because as asking this, people know that there's a chat, but if they don't think that they can get an answer to their question, which is usually like, how much does it cost? How soon can it be installed? Like, what's the process like? All those kind of things. They're not gonna go for it. So, but yeah, let's jump to the actual feedback that we got. This person says, I do not care about Yelp reviews. Give me a better business bureau rating. That's interesting. A lot of people saying it's fine, not sure if they should call or use a form. So if there's not a lot of similar feedback, we don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
But as we expand the actual participants to beyond 10, because there's only 10 answers here, like you'll start seeing those themes come together, and that's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. It looks a lot like Home Depot, which really doesn't matter. Cool. The last one we're going to go for is going to be, I think this is Solar Spectrum. Let me just double check. Yep, Solar Spectrum. So Solar Spectrum actually does a decent job. You'll notice that the actual says solar panel quotes. The search term is solar panel quote. Yeah. And, we can't really identify how many of the actual ad extensions they're using because that is not guaranteed. But if you click on the page, you go here, like this is what you see.
Yeah, it's way too in your face.
Right.
You have to scroll, like poor user experience. You have to scroll down to like fill out the freaking form.
Sure.
So that's not great.
Yeah. And the problem too is like, even if you just read this and you had no idea why you were here, it doesn't really tell you much benefit about Solar Spectrum. They could use this real estate space for way more like...
Yeah, it's prime real estate right there.
It totally is. And they can actually use it for talking about like how long it takes to install, how long their solar panels last, the average savings, like tons of stuff that they can actually showcase, but they're not using that. And they literally have like referral code down here, which I'm sure most people don't, because this is part of their website. It's not a standalone landing page, and I don't like that. Because this might do great for like their organic traffic, what they have too, but even then it could be like performing a lot better. And again, using the breadcrumb technique, like literally just asking what's your zip code, and then from that they can figure out like what state you're in, all that kind of stuff. And from a visitor's perspective, I would assume that there's different cost depending on where I live, right?
Yeah,
like the availability of the resources, the installers, all that kind of stuff too. But they're not taking advantage of that. So if you look at the actual feedback, this person actually really does want solar, but they're not willing to fill out this long form.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
No, it was a lot of fields.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to like necessarily like reduce the amount of fields. It's more about like we found again and again like the order of the fields, right?
Yeah.
So you can ask things, and then you can progressively get more closely to like the actual contact info, and then you can actually get them to convert. But you know, people say that it's way too busy. I wouldn't say it's way too busy. I think it's pretty simple. They don't have any images of anything. There's not much. Just a normal form, like it's just dominating that form, which is the bad part, right? Huge. So again, using the breadcrumb technique would be pretty helpful. The one thing I wanted to show you guys too is you can actually use shopping campaigns, like I mentioned too. If you look at the right side over here, solar panel installation. Now you would imagine that this is only going to be possible if you're actually selling solar panels with no installation, no agreement or whatsoever. The thing that you can do is that you can still allow people to buy these solar panels, but you can actually take the landing page a little bit of a step further, and you can actually showcase an example that we got from a credit card processing company. So you type in credit card processor, you see the ads over here, you click on one, and one of them did a really good job of creating this experience of a landing page where you basically see that you can still add to cart down here, and you can go through it and actually buy it. Yeah. But what they're trying to get you to do is actually become a lead, like get planned pricing.
It's like lead gen, but for e-com.
Exactly. Okay. So completely separate inventory. You can unlock like dynamic product ads on Facebook if you want to do like remarketing on Google itself too. Even like potential with YouTube, where like regular search ads are just pretty expensive, and you can actually do this as well. So maybe do it in tandem. But yeah, so yeah, if you're actually looking at this and considering taking some action steps, please do let us know how it goes. We hope that we brought you some value, and if we get any good feedback, we might do some future videos.
Yeah,
cool.
We'll do.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.